Welcome back to another episode here in the Cozy Kitchen. The holidays are here. Is this not the best time of year? I mean, this is when I really shine as an individual, as a human being. I get in the spirit. I get in the spirit of the season. And today we're sticking with the spirit. Today we are making my cornbread and Italian sausage stuffing. If you've never had stuffing before, you are in for a treat. If you have had stuffing before, you're in for a treat. A lot of times when people think about stuffing, they think Thanksgiving, and that's it. With all the events that we have going on between Friendsgiving, Thanksgiving, the holiday parties, family getting together for whatever holiday you might celebrate, there's a lot of events and a lot of potlucks. This is a great dish to bring to your next event, or it's also just a nice dish to make early in the week and to have in the fridge. This is one of the dishes that on the holidays, it's empty by the time the dinner's done. The dish is empty, okay? People are going in for seconds and thirds. So just to give you an idea of what is going on right now in the kitchen, I have my oven preheating at 375 degrees. The stuffing, once we put everything together, is gonna go into that oven. One thing you're gonna need for this dish is a nice deep pan, which we're going to obviously put the stuffing in and then put that stuffing into the oven. I also have 1 stick of unsalted butter. The very first thing we're gonna do is create sort of like an herb butter. You're also going to want 4 sprigs of thyme, 1 nice sprig of rosemary, 1 sprig of sage. We're going to remove the leaves, obviously, from all of them. Just give them a hint of a chop just to release kind of the aromatics within the herbs. We're also going to use 1/4 cup of parsley, which we're just going to give a nice little chop. And we're going to throw the rosemary, the thyme, the sage, and the parsley into the butter. You're going to want a nice little small pot. We're going to put our 1 stick of unsalted butter into the pot, and then we're going to turn the heat on low, 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 low. And then as the butter begins to melt in the pan, we're going to throw in our parsley, our thyme, our rosemary, and our sage, as well as just a sprinkle of kosher salt and a sprinkle of black pepper. So now that the butter is on the stove, melting away, the next thing we're going to want to work on is our mild Italian sausage. Once it's in the saute pan, we're going to break it up even a little bit more with a wooden spoon so that we have little bite-sized pieces. You're going to want a nice deep saute pan that we're going to use for cooking the sausage and then later for the vegetables. So get a nice pan out, put that over medium-high heat, get your sausage out, and let's start removing the meat from the casing. Okay, guys, so I had 1 pound of mild Italian sausage that I removed from the casing. We're gonna throw it into our medium saute pan that's been warming up over medium-high heat. So now that my pan is over medium-high heat and it's nice and warm, we're gonna throw this mild Italian sausage right in. My Italian sausage is now in the saute pan. My butter is continuing to melt. Be sure to check on your butter. You want that heat at low. You don't want the butter to burn or turn brown. Make sure to mix in those herbs a little bit just so that everything is nice and even and really infusing the butter with all those flavors. As that sausage continues to cook, I like to add in about 1/3 cup of white wine, or if you don't want to use wine, you can always use a broth. This is just to help prevent the sausage from sticking to the bottom. As that sausage continues to cook, the wine or the broth will help to get those little bits off the bottom. And then we're going to cook our vegetables in that same pan. So this will help flavor that pan with that delicious sausage flavoring before we hit it with the vegetables. My butter has melted. I just took it off the stove. We're just going to set the butter aside until our vegetables are ready for it. Now that my sausage is going, we are then going to start our rice. Whatever amount of rice we have, you just want to double that in liquid. I have my rice here. I'm going to throw my rice into a pot. The rice is going into the pot. I have 3/4 cup of white rice. To that, we're going to add 1.5 cups of low sodium chicken broth. Bring that heat to high. Let the rice come to a bubble or boil. And then as soon as it gets to that bubble, we're going to drop the heat to a simmer. Put a lid on the pot, allowing just a little bit of the lid off so that the steam can come out of the rice and the rice continues to cook and absorb all that broth. So let's get our rice going now. My rice is going and my sausage is almost ready to come out of the pan. The next thing that you want to get ready are your vegetables. For this recipe, you're going to need 3 pieces of celery, 1 nice large carrot, and then 2 small sweet onions. We're going to give them all a nice rough chop. You want them to be about bite-sized pieces. Once that sausage comes out of the pan and everything's chopped up, we're going to throw the vegetables into that same saute pan that our sausage has been cooking in. So let's get our vegetables chopped now so that they're ready to go in that pan. My Italian sausage is nice and golden brown on the outside and ready to come out of that pan. With a slotted spoon, you just want to put that sausage into a bowl and set that sausage aside. We're going to throw our vegetables into that pan and get those vegetables cooking in that oil that sausage has been cooking in. My sausage is out of the pan and my vegetables are chopped. We're going to add our 2 onions, our celery, and our carrots into that pan where our sausage was just cooking. Keep that heat at medium high. After those vegetables have been sauteing for a few minutes, we're gonna add just a sprinkle of kosher salt, sprinkle of black pepper, and let them continue to cook. And then add in that herb butter right on top of the vegetables and allow the vegetables to continue to cook and absorb that butter until they're nice and soft. My vegetables are in the pan, they're beginning to cook down. At this point, you might be wondering, what about the cornbread? That's a great question. The cornbread was something that I actually made prior to even starting filming this video. I made it this morning. The easiest thing for this recipe to do is just to buy a box of cornbread mix that you can buy in your grocery store. Of course, if you want to take on the extra endeavor of making cornbread from scratch, you're more than welcome to do so. I just buy the box and it comes out perfect every time. I have that cornbread right here. It's ready to go. Once those vegetables are cooked down and nice and softened, we're going to add in our rice. We're going to add in our sausage, and then finally our cornbread. Mix that all together and then put that in the oven and allow that to bake. What we can do in the meantime is get the pan that we're going to be baking the stuffing in. So I have my pan. I have 1 stick of unsalted butter. I'm just going to rub the stick right along the pan just to make sure that the entire pan is coated so that when we throw that stuffing in and put the stuffing into the pan, nothing sticks. So you just want to rub it right alongside the entire pan, all on the inside as well. If you have spray or something like that, you can also use spray as well. We're just getting that pan ready so that once our vegetables are cooked and everything is mixed together, we can throw that stuffing into the pan and get that stuffing in the oven. My rice is done, guys. It's nice and fluffy. Now that that rice is cooked, we're going to add in about 2 tablespoons of mascarpone cheese right into the rice and allow the mascarpone to mix in and kind of melt into that warm rice before we transfer the rice into the pan with the vegetables. I've just mixed my mascarpone in with my rice. It has a nice thickness and creaminess to it, which is exactly what we want. Once that mascarpone is melted in with the rice, you can just set that rice aside and we're almost ready to put that stuffing into the oven. While we wait for those vegetables, now is the perfect time to get our cornbread. Guys, I have my cornbread here. I might be dipping into it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. It's so good. Cornbread is so good. Now I had an 8x8 baking dish that I made just a nice loaf of cornbread in. I use about 80% of the cornbread in the stuffing. I have my cornbread here. It's all broken up. It's ready to go. Before we put all this stuffing together, the final thing that you're going to need is 1 egg and some low sodium vegetable broth, low sodium chicken broth, or you could also substitute that for some unflavored milk. Whatever kind of milk you have, just make sure it's unflavored, just to give a little bit of moisture to the stuffing, because again, we're going to put it in the oven and it's going to dry out a little bit. I'm going to be using low sodium chicken broth for today. So I have my 1 egg here. We're just going to give it a crack. Give this egg a whisk with the fork. Also make sure that you either have your milk or your broth, whatever you're going to be using, ready and at hand, because we're going to be using that as we mix the ingredients all together. My vegetables have softened. They've been cooking for about 12-13 minutes now. Now is the perfect time to turn that heat off. We're going to add in all of our other ingredients, starting with the rice, then we're going to add in the sausage, and then finally the cornbread. Once we've added all those ingredients in, be sure to throw in that 1 egg that we just whisked, as well as about a 1/2 cup of broth. Once we've mixed all of the ingredients together, you can get your pan, and we're going to add that stuffing into the pan and put that pan in the oven. I just transferred my stuffing from the saute pan into my baking pan. Into the oven, the stuffing is going to go 375 degrees for 20 minutes covered. Then we're going to take that cover off, put it back in the oven, finish it off, and then we're good to go. I just took my stuffing out of the oven. It's been in the oven covered for 20 minutes now. We're just going to put this back in the oven at 375 degrees for another 15 minutes. Then we'll take it out and it'll be ready to serve. My cornbread and sausage stuffing just came out of the oven. It's just starting to become nice and golden brown at the top. That's exactly what we want. The smell is unbelievable. You get that sausage, you get those herbs that we melted in with the butter, and then of course the cornbread, which brings it all together. It's comforting and something that everyone at the table is going to dive into and enjoy. I really hope that you guys go and try it for yourself. Our cornbread and sausage stuffing is still piping hot. It's steaming right here. I can't wait any longer. I'm ready to dive in, see what it's all about. The sweetness of the cornbread matched with the saltiness of the Italian sausage is the perfect balance, especially when you bring together the rice and the vegetables and we mix it all together. It's a great dish to make this time of year, and I hope that you guys give it a try for yourself. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked this video, please scroll to the bottom, give it a like. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to this channel as well. Feel free to share this recipe too with others. Cornbread and sausage stuffing, you cannot go wrong, especially this time of year. Happy holidays, guys. I will see you very soon. I'm going to go eat some stuffing. Bye.